No, Antonio, you always have the same pitch. But I want very different pitches, if you please. Pi-te-te, poi-to.
To his disciples, Karl-Heinz Stockhausen is a genius who has redefined what music can be. In the 1950s, he helped to establish the technique of serialism, creating atonal music, strictly governed by precise mathematical systems that dictated pitch, duration, and dynamics. His first performances were met with horror and confusion, as audiences struggled to understand music lacking conventional harmony. But his reputation grew, and he created some unique pieces. Gruppen, which featured 3 orchestras arranged around the audience, moving sounds through space. He carried out pioneering work in electronic music, and famously appeared on the cover of the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper album. His 7-part operatic cycle Licht has taken over 20 years to complete, and is possibly the most ambitious single project ever undertaken by a composer.
Seasons, phases, songs.
His admirers say that Stockhausen is at the height of his powers, but some critics claim that he's reached a dead end and that he's become a megalomaniac whose performances increasingly feature bizarre visuals and clumsy lyrics. Some contemporaries fear that he's withdrawn from the world and is obsessed by his belief that he was born and educated not on Earth, but on the star Sirius.
May the music of Sirius be the felicitation to the pioneers on Earth and in space.
Stockhausen rarely gives interviews. With Teutonic precision, he granted me just 11 minutes of his time. Things didn't get off to a great start.
Could you tell me what the most beautiful sound, or the most interesting sound, that you've ever heard is?
No.
So what do you think about melody? Do you hum tunes like we all
Absolutely.
do? Do you
I
whistle?
whistle a lot.
What do you whistle?
Well, the melodies that I write.
Your own stuff?
Yes.
Do you like to whistle anyone else, a sort of Mozart or Bach or people? Or?
Mozart, when I conducted Mozart. I conducted several works for records, etc. Then I whistled also these Mozart works.
Doesn't appear that you're slowing down, despite being in your late 70s. What's a typical working day for you at home?
I compose from about 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock, and then from about 3 o'clock to 7, and then again from 8 to 10, sometimes later. And I write at the table, or half of my life I have spent in a studio for electronic music, and I produced the sounds, and during the night I would make the sketches for the next morning every night.
Do things come to you in dreams in the night as well? I know that...
Many times.
Yes? I mean, the Helicopter Quartet, I think,
I have
was
dreamt
a dream.
quite a few works completely in a dream, but not all the notes, but just how it was performed.
When you dream music, do you dream the sound, or do you see the score?
No, more a sound.
More a sound. So you hear and you dream.
Yeah.
So, like we say, do you dream in colour? Actually, you're dreaming in octaves,
Yeah, but
in
I
melodies.
said also the performance is an experience of the dream. Several times it has happened when I participated in the performance.
Antonio, the syllables are like that, nicht po-e, sag einfach poi. Poi. Also pi-te-te, poi-to.
A great deal of the early 20th century avant-garde, people like Schoenberg and Berg and people like that, they suffered a great deal, this idea of entartata music, sort of degenerate music, because they were different, because they were breaking with tradition. I mean, presumably you've been treated much better than that as a revolutionary, haven't you?
What happened to my work since 1951 was comparable to what happened to the Viennese school. They had even a lot of faithful followers, but in Germany we had a situation after the war, and we still have a situation where the traditional music is overestimated. The Baroque music, the classical music, the Romantic music is dominating. And music with new developments, new discoveries, and with new sound worlds is not wanted by the music world.
Yes.
But there are a lot of music lovers and connoisseurs who study my music, and that is enough.
And consequently, it's had an influence on everyone. I mean, it's had an influence not only on classical, but also on popular as well. I mean, are you aware how your influence has spread?
No, that came later.
Really?
The popular influence came only in the last 20 years or so, that also the pop musicians became very interested in the sound world that I produced in my works.
Are you aware of their interest? Do you help them?
Yeah, they write me all the time and send their recordings, etc.
This is wonderful. I have to write that into the part. That is your invention, but I think it should always be done like that with tremolo ritardando. Very beautiful.
When you respond to tradition like you do, and you revolutionize it and you tear it all up, are you doing that because you hate the tradition, or just because you want to do something new?
No, you are such a dramatic person. It isn't.
It's not that dramatic.
Absolutely not. I told you that I conducted Mozart music and played a lot of Romantic music and classic music as a pianist in Baroque music. No, I didn't break anything. I just left it as it is. But I added a lot of new works, over 300 works, and there's enough to study now for centuries to add this to the traditional music. So there's never something like that among artists, that they break each other's work. That is respectless, and I don't like that at all.
In your sound world, is the music about anything else? Is it describing something, or is it just about itself?
I hope so. Okay, let's change.
Thank you very much indeed.